Hey, welcome to another podcast with NECKROOTS. I'm Kit.
Austin.
And we're joined with Brandon and Nate from This Is the Place podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys today.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, happy to be here.
This is a place.
This is the place?
This is a place.
Welcome to this week's episode of This Is the Place podcast. My name is Nate.
Hi, Brandon.
And happy Pack Your Mom's Lunch Day.
Pack your mom's lunch day. It's not
I don't even know what that means.
I can explain it. So moms usually pack lunch for us. On this day, you pack the lunch for your mom instead.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I better head over to my mom's house and pack her lunch.
Get on it. I was kind of hoping you were going to pick Steve Irwin Day so we could do some really terrible Australian accents.
I thought about that
mate?
one as well.
G'day, mate.
Crikey.
We actually have to do, so this is coming out on the 15th of November, right? But it's also coming out on the 14th of November because we have some guests today. Their podcast comes out a day before, so we got to give some love to November 14th as well.
It's my wife's birthday on November 14th, so I thought that's why you're doing it.
That's the holiday then.
So happy birthday, honey.
Yeah, happy birthday, Nate's wife.
There you go.
It's
I'm
her
sure
birthday.
she listens.
Oh, yeah. Our wives always listen to the podcast. So we've got her birthday, but it's also Loosen Up, Lighten Up Day.
Loosen up, lighten up day. You know what? Every day that ends with Y should be a loosen up, lighten up day.
Absolutely. That's kind of our thing. We're the I'm Austin, this is Kit. We're on the NECKROOTS podcast. And that's kind of what we're all about, right?
Yeah.
Loosen up. Don't let things stress you out. Kind of roll with life, roll with the punches, and deal with it as it comes at you. So what a good day to, celebrate that every day, right?
Yep.
But at least we've got a day dedicated to it. I think it's also, Brandon, you told me it's also dedicated to like 11 other things. So don't let it get lost in the files there.
Yeah, it's very important to remember that. If you also want to know, it's National Pickle Day. That might be important for some people, not for me. But
my wife is celebrating that right now.
all days, every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're happy to do this collaborative episode with you guys. Austin, you and I know each other from. Where do we know each other from?
Service in the church with our church. Yeah.
Church service.
Church
There
service.
Don't know how to say it sometimes. Like we both go to a church together.
In the
But
same hood.
Yeah, the
live in the
same
same
hood.
hood.
Thanks, Nate.
that's funny because that's how I know Nate from the beginning as well. So I think I got introduced to your podcast probably about a year ago or so, and we talked about doing this at some point, and happy to finally make it happen.
Yeah, this is really cool. So we appreciate you guys having us on and introducing you to your audience, and hopefully we can have a good time talking about Utah and talking about some NECKROOTS stuff. So
I do first have to compliment your background. I mean, we only use audio. You guys do video.
yeah,
But you've got a whole thing going on here for your podcast.
Kit, do you mind sharing your interior decorative skills with us here?
My wife's an interior decorator. Is all I did was build the sound room, and that was it.
So when can she come out our way and do the same for us?
Yeah, no problem,
question.
bro. You just say the word, we'll send her out. That way, that can be the place. This can be the place. You know what I mean?
There you go.
She's going to bring
like
an
it.
18-wheeler with the stuff in there to decorate, guys. So hopefully you got a place for her to park it.
Yeah, this room's changed 4 different times. We had a couch, and then I couldn't sit still, and then we got these bar stools, and then we had a seat belt, and then we got rid of that, and then it's changed quite a bit, but it turned out all right.
Looks good.
So
I'm
is this
impressed.
somebody's basement, or where are you guys recording from?
No, we're just at the ranch, just at my house, and it's in the office, just a room that we dedicated, built a sound room, and let her have at it decorating and putting it together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what is your podcast? I mean, you kind of hinted a little bit at the beginning about our day we chose.
Yeah.
What is NECKROOTS?
Kit, you want to hammer it off first? Here,
Yeah.
and then
You know what? NECKROOTS is it's everything. So I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years, and through the life and living, it was interesting. It was brought to my attention. My son was getting ready to leave, and my wife was showing him pictures, just of him when he was a baby, and he's like, "Wait a minute, who's that guy?" And she's like, "Well, that's your dad." And she goes, "I don't look like my dad, right? My dad's tractor driving, boot wearing, boots, shorts, cowboy hat backwards, whatever." And he goes, "I don't recognize him. He looks cute, but I don't recognize him," right? And so anyway, it spurred a conversation, and she says, "You know what? Your dad was lost for a little bit. He lost his roots. And your dad was neck when I met him, and then there was a period of time, in the you lose your life in living, man. You forget what you're chasing, right? And kind of lose yourself." And she goes, "He's a better person when he's neck and when he remembers his roots. And so I'm glad you guys don't remember him that way, even though he looked cute for a minute, right?" But so it was just kind of a joke. And my kids always say neck. And so does it mean your neck? Does it mean you're Western? Does it mean your country? No, it just remembers. It's just a reminder to remember your roots, right? And when I heard her explain that to my son, it just kind of hit home. You know what? It's important to be grounded. It's important to remember our roots. And so we fired up NECKROOTS.
Yeah, and the whole idea behind our episodes, right, is to teach skills and principles and things. I mean, we're not experts here. We're just normal guys, just like everybody else. But to talk about skills and obstacles and things that we've overcome and things that we can do in our lives to make ourselves a little bit better tomorrow than we are today. And that's kind of just what we want for everybody, right? We want all of us to improve and become our best versions of ourselves. So that's kind of the whole mission of NECKROOTS.
How long have you guys been doing it, this podcast?
We started the podcast in January of this year, so it's almost been a full year.
Yeah, and in December of the year before, I learned what a podcast was.
Yeah, that's
Fair enough.
neither one of us knew what we were doing. We probably still don't know what we're doing. So
We don't. We just send it.
Send it to the internet.
There you go.
And how do you guys know each other?
So Kit's actually my stepsister's uncle's best friend. No, I'm just kidding. Kit's my uncle. So my dad.
Really excited for a minute.
Yeah, Kit's wife is my dad's sister. So and most importantly, Kit taught me how to drive. Can I tell him how old I was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude,
I thought you were 16.
This was on
Statute of limitations is up, right?
It's up, but this was on private property, right? 7 years old. 7 years old. Kit had this big old green Ford truck, and I said, "Hey, Kit, would you let me drive that?" I was over hanging out at their place or something like that, and he goes, "Well, heck yeah! Why don't you hop in here and drive it?" And so that was my first experience driving a vehicle, and I've been driving ever since. So thanks, Kit.
Yeah.
Still alive.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I know we're kind of doing a collaboration, so I'll just give you guys a synopsis of who we are. Wish I could say we're a little more serious, but we talk about haunted houses, themed restaurants.
Yes.
We basically talk about anything we appreciate about Utah. So
I
I'm
love
being
that.
serious, but we have fun with it. Nate, what are some crazy episodes we've done?
Not necessarily crazy. We've had some of the local movie celebrities on. Even had what's his name from Sandlot?
Jeez.
Marty
York?
Yeah. What was his name in the movie? Yeah. From Sandlot on. We've gotten some cool places. The cool thing is it's gotten us out to go see stuff that you can do in Utah that you just never get around to doing. So it's kind of forced us to get out and see the attractions and see the beauties of Utah. It's been fun.
That's awesome, because there's no limit to the beauty in this state. That's for sure.
I think it's important what you guys are doing. I spent a lot of time traveling outside of the state when my kids were younger to take them to different attractions, Disneyland or whatever it is. And as they got older and we got out in the wilderness, riding and snowmobiling and boating and doing stuff, you start to go, man, we've been to this lake, or we were bass fishing at this lake. And you start going out and you know what? You could spend your whole life chasing the next thing in Utah and probably not see it all. There's a lot.
Oh, 100%. I had we had a Christmas party for our company here in Utah a couple years ago, and so our agent from Dallas came out, and the day after the party, she says, "Hey, can you take us around?" And because of the podcast, we were able to go see all these little things that didn't cost any money, but people normally don't go see. And they had the time of their lives. And they left Utah saying, man, Utah's one weird place. We took them to Hobbitville. We took them to the Salt Lake City Cemetery. We took them to Gilgal Gardens. And they're just like, what is this?
Right?
But they had a great time. They're like, they want to come back. So, but all these little things that we didn't really, I never really experienced because just never made time to. But the podcast made it happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I introduced Nate to podcasts, right, Nate?
Yeah,
You knew what
yeah.
they were, but I said one day, let's start a podcast and we can talk about these things and then say to our wives, hey, it's for the podcast. We have to go do this thing. And
It's really just an excuse for us to hang out and go do stuff.
That's
without our wives
awesome.
getting
Talk every
too
week.
upset.
And then talk about it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, we've had fun with it. So it's kind of evolved. We've done, like Nate said, we've had different people, celebrities, or, just everyday people too. We'll talk to anybody and have them on the podcast. The only rule is it needs to be Utah related. The name, This Is a Place, kind of was the thought. And we were starting with just doing only places. We're like, well, there's so much more to talk about than just the places in Utah. There's more stories to tell. And so that kind of is still our guiding principle. And I think we're going to hear a couple places from you guys, if that's okay, that you share some places you like in Utah.
Yeah, sure. I'll kick it off for us. So, I've been in Utah pretty much my whole entire life. And my family, we were real outdoorsy, camping, fishing, hiking, whatever, you name it. So we've been to all the national parks and everything, just really outdoorsy. But something that I've been involved in for a really long time, since I was 9 years old, is racing motorcycles, right? And a lot of the motorcycle racing that we do in Utah is down by the sand dunes. I don't know, have you guys ever talked about the Little Sahara Sand Dunes Recreation Area before?
I
Not
haven't
yet.
talked about it, and I've never been.
You've never been. All right, so just imagine a sandbox and then imagine it really big. Right? So
That's here?
that's here, guys. That's right. It's an hour and a half south of here, but yeah, there's there's thousands of miles of trails out there that we ride these off-road vehicles on, and the cool thing is that there's these sand dunes they're really out of place, right? We've got some sand dunes down south in the St. George area, the coral pink sand dunes, and those are kind of their own flavor of sand dune. But the Little Sahara
What
Recreation,
flavor are there? Sorry.
they're like a pink
Like
flavor.
a cotton candy?
They're like a pinkish flavor. What flavor is related to pink? They're real. It's a different sand. It's a finer sand. But Little Sahara it's just really cool. I mean, like I said, it's an hour and a half south of here, kind of out by where Delta is, on the way to Delta, Utah, if you know where that's at. And
That's where my grandpa's from.
oh, sweet. So then you should have been to the sand dunes, Brandon. Come on.
I mean, I've never known him when he lived there. That's just
Oh,
where
okay.
he grew up.
Okay,
So,
yeah. Most
but
people
I
grow
know-
up there
I know
and
the
they move
name.
away. But they've got a sand dune out there called Big Sand Mountain, and it's literally a mountain made out of sand. Like you stand at the bottom of this thing, it's 1,000 feet tall, and it is a sand dune, right? And then back, all through this whole recreation area, which is just ginormous. There's dunes there's big sand bowls, and it's just a really cool place, right? And I've gone out there a few times with like scout groups or whatever, and we do campouts out there. But for the most part, it's a big recreational playground. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
I've always
Nate?
wanted to go out there and try it. Just never made it out there.
well,
We've
Nate,
done a couple field trips for the podcast. That's one we still need to make down south.
okay, well, before you do that field trip, let me know. I'll get you guys a shovel and a pail so that you can go build your sand castles out there.
Yes.
Fair enough. We'll take
That's
it.
probably all I'll be able to do. I'm not good with the recreational vehicles. I mean, I can drive them, but probably not like you can.
Well, if you drive them like I do, you end up with broken bones. So don't drive them like I do, Brandon.
I don't want that.
I'll take you, Brandon. I'm a little older and a little slower, bro.
Yeah, that's more my speed. I mean, I want some thrill, but not to the point of breaking bones. No thanks.
Yeah.
You
So
been
one of
here your
them
whole
that
life,
comes
Kit?
to mind is, I think you guys have probably talked about Bear Lake area.
A little bit, yeah.
So I spent a lot of time up in Bear Lake. We go up snowmobiling every year between Christmas and New Year's. So, and it used to be a seasonal place for the most part, and 6-7 years ago it was seasonal. You wouldn't see, it was a ghost town in the middle of December, and not anymore, right? Restaurants are open, shops are open. It's not seasonal anymore. But the interesting thing about that is in the summer, I know a lot of people go up there and they get the raspberry shakes, or they go to the playhouse, or they go to one of the attractions after they've been sitting on the beach or boating for so long. And I mean, I've spent so much time up there. I sunk a boat up there, and we've ridden rode motorcycles up there, and so we take our boat up every year and we spend time. But in spending time, you can only spend so much time on something fun for so long, right? And so we started exploring the area, and up there in Bear Lake, there's a canyon called Bloomington Canyon. We found it by accident one day. We jumped on the motorcycles and just went for a ride in the afternoon. And so we go up Bloomington Canyon. There's at the top, there's 2 lakes called Bloomington Lakes, and it's about a 1.6 mile hike. It's really not a hike, it's a walk. And you can go up to the second lake, and up at the second lake, I mean, it's beautiful, right? Any of the Rocky Mountains and anything up there is beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
period, right?
Yeah.
So not only is it scenic and beautiful, but you get up past the second lake, and there's a glacier that comes down off the back of the mountains right into the lake. And there's these college kids up there from Logan, and they're getting their inner tubes and going down that glacier and just splashing into the lake. And there's a rope swing up there, and it's just a fun activity to do that is completely 180 degrees different than getting a sunburn, right? You go jump on an inner tube, ride some snow down, and I'm not kidding you, that glacier's there August, the hottest part of the months. It is there year round, and it's just an anomaly. It's just something different. I mean, we've seen you'll see the back of Timpanogos or whatever, but to be able to go up and physically get on it and scoot down it and splash into a lake, I mean, it's cold, but it was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I think I've been to that glacier actually. I didn't go in the water, but I think we drove to it. You said it's kind of close to Logan?
So it's up in Bear
It's
Lake,
more
and
like
Bloomington
Bear
is right on the border. It's Idaho, Utah, so it's right on the border. You go across the border, and Bloomington Canyon is really on the Idaho side, and then comes back into the Utah side. But it's just up there by the lake on the north side.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, you
Yeah,
can
you
drive a
would think
car
that.
up there too. You don't have to have a 4-wheel drive. We seen cars going up there when we were riding up there, but we end up now.
Yeah, I think that's how I got up there.
now
I
when
would
we
have
go
got
up
there any
there,
other way.
we have to go. We have to go
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
So
There you go. Another destination, guys.
Yeah, we've we went to Ogden for a field trip. We haven't gone the Logan Bear Lake direction yet, so
Okay,
we're
well,
gonna have to get that one on our list, Nate.
so something
Yes.
super important if you're Nate and Brandon, if you're gonna go through Logan, there's this Utah thing. Have you heard of Gosner's Milk?
Oh, come on, of course.
Of course, right? We've all heard of Gosner's Milk. Well, Gosner's headquarters is right there in Logan, right? In Cache
right.
Valley. So on your way up to the glacier, you can get yourself some chocolate milk, some root beer milk,
up.
or the fruit flavored milk. My grandparents used to get me this stuff all the time because I've got family that lives up in Logan. So every time they would go up there, they'd bring me down a case of Gosner's milk. And so that's kind of that's a Utah thing. I think that's a Utah
yeah.
thing for sure.
Yeah. We had somebody, he owns the Nut Garden, and we had him on, and he sells that at his shop over there in Bluffdale.
Oh, nice.
So
It's got a good shelf life. It lasts for like
Yeah.
20 years, right? So
I was going to say, you can stock up and not worry about it expiring for a while.
exactly.
See, that's how you know it's Utah is the shelf life. It's
Yeah.
good for food storage.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's gotta be.
People will buy this because they'll see the date on it and be like, oh, when things go bad, at least we've got a root beer
Yeah.
milk.
When you
Yes.
have your food store, dip into the food storage.
My wife always asks me, because I still have a case of that root beer milk. She's like, "Are you ever going to drink that?" And I said, "Yeah, when I need it, right? I'm not going to waste it right now. I'm doing fine. I'll drink that milk when necessity calls for it." So
Yeah,
that's
when-
funny. So, well,
When the
Grandma.
world goes, I was going to say, world goes to crap. That thing would be gold. You know, you can say,
exactly. I'm going to hog it for myself, though. I'm not trading that stuff away. So
I was in Logan
Fair
today, and this is the first time I ever heard about that milk.
Really?
Yeah, why didn't you
Really?
tell me?
Oh, are you going back up to Logan, Kit?
Yeah, next
You
week.
go grab yourself some Gosners, man.
All right.
Don't drink it. Just hold on to it, but you got to get some.
I'm gonna bring these guys some too.
There you go.
fair.
You know, I haven't been there since it's been a couple of years, but they used to let you sample it. That might be a thing that COVID killed.
It could be.
Do they still do that?
I don't know.
They used to have a bar. It was like a sample bar. I don't know, similar to like you go to a salsa or a Mexican restaurant, you got a salsa bar, they had
Yeah.
a milk bar, and so you could go try the orange milk or the root beer milk or whatever. You could sample them before you buy them. Maybe they
Utah.
did it because people weren't buying it, but
Utah's bringing milk bars to the world. Thanks, Utah.
milk bar.
Stop by
right
Utah and
next.
check out the milk bar.
It's right next to a swig.
Exactly. There was another place that I was thinking of. So Logan's up north, and we talked about the sand dunes, the big, huge sandbox we got down south that you guys got to go check out. And then also, I was talking to Brandon a little bit about this, but did you guys know that it's an hour and a half south, 2 hours south, that Utah has like ancient volcanoes, and next to these ancient volcanoes are like lava tubes. Have you heard of these before? Nate, have you heard of
I
these?
have.
You've heard of the
Uh-uh.
lava tubes?
Yeah,
The-
from you.
Oh, for me, yeah. Well, you're
And then
welcome,
I heard
Brandon.
from Brandon.
There you go, Brandon. We did a trip with our family a couple weekends ago where we went and we saw like there's Fort Deseret right out in the desert, and that's got some history to it. And then we went to an old ghost town that was pretty cool, an old mining town, and saw the mines and the old buildings that they have there. And then on our way back, we're like, let's go check out these lava tubes. I've heard about them. I've had friends that said that they went. They really didn't tell me much about it, but I got to tell you guys, like, we got down there, and my kids, I mean, we had seen some pretty cool stuff that day, but they could not stop talking about these lava tubes, and basically you can walk down, you get down inside of them. They're about 50 feet tall and 100 feet wide, and it's kind of like these caverns and these caves. And they're just, I mean, everything is lava rock, right? They're all full of lava rock. So you're bouldering your way through these caverns, and sometimes the roof or the ceiling of the cave or lava tube is collapsed. So you got sunlight coming down, and then you'll open up into a big, huge, part where the lava tubes have all collapsed, and then you'll go back into the lava tubes. And it is an absolutely fascinating place.
I've
And
never been there.
You never would have guessed it was in your backyard in Utah. You would think
Yeah.
that this is somewhere in Hawaii. I mean, you feel super out of place when you're down there, but it's right in our backyard.
So much is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's how many things we've learned about just by doing the podcast. I mean, we're a little more sensitive to it. So if we see something Utah pop up, we're putting it on the list, the long, very extensive list of episode ideas we have, just because there's so much that we can do. There's no end to what you can cover here. Cause like you say, you go from a glacier to a volcano in the same day. It's just,
To a
It's a
sand
different
dune.
place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you go to the desert. You go to the.
you can ski and golf
Glaciers.
the same day.
You can go to a salted water body.
Yeah. Holy cow, the salt flats. Yep. All within a day. You could do a day trip and hit all of those if you wanted to.
You
Yep.
know,
And then
that place you just described, I grew up in Vernal, and there's a lot of places out there that look like the dark side of the moon.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like they
Oh,
look
yeah.
like. And there's a place called Docks Beach where we used to ride motorcycles, and now they do the extreme rock rally out there,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit like Moab sandstone, And then right next to it's the Honda Rolling Hills, and it's 1,000 acres, 2 square miles of just gray sand out there in dinosaur land that just rolls and rolls. I mean, you can get lost. I mean, I lost my kid out there.
Oh yeah.
We were the only ones out there. I was like, dude, where are you?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of cool places. I mean, East, West. I mean, that's why you guys are doing this, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
It just gets people thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to go far to see something neat.
No, you don't. Out there in Vernal, Kit, you're by that famous place, Skinwalker Ranch. Dude.
Yeah, bro, that's scary. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's not do that one.
Yeah, we got that.
Save
yeah.
that for a Halloween episode.
Yeah, there you go. Save that one. We were thinking about, okay, so how does NECKROOTS and kind of what we talk about tie into, This Is a Place podcast? And I think like Kit said, like, we love what you guys are doing, and that you're bringing out to everybody all these cool little places and these things that are specific to Utah. And we've got a motto here, right?
Yeah.
Which is life elevated, right? And I think we can all agree that that's true. Life elevated when we're here in Utah. Definitely, I feel that way.
Yeah.
For sure. And so we were thinking, okay, well, how does that tie into the message and stuff that Kit and I share on our podcast? And it was like, you know what? How about, Utah's life elevated? How do we reach individually? How do we elevate our lives and reach our full potential, right? And so that's kind of something that we were thinking about and talking about, and kind of wanted to ask you guys, Brandon and Nate, like, I don't know, what are some things that you feel like help you to reach your full potential, or maybe what are some things that we've got to watch out for that may prevent us from reaching our full potential?
I think having a good support system. One good thing about Utah is it's a pretty friendly state. People are pretty friendly, and there's a lot of support. Yeah, people are willing to help, and we're a very entrepreneur state. So
big time.
And then I think people are willing to share their experiences to help you get to the right road that you need to be on to accomplish your goals.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
good.
I would agree with that for sure. I've definitely experienced that in my life, Nate. And I wouldn't have connected those dots, like to where we live, that's conducive to helping you reach your full potential, the people you surround yourself with, and relying on their experiences. That's awesome.
It's interesting that you say that too, because I have a lot of friends from outside the state, and every time they come here, and Austin's met some of them, they'll stay at the house or whatever, and they can't get over it. They're like, dude, I was at the grocery store and this lady just said, hi, how are you? And I'm like, in English? He goes, yeah. I'm like, what's the big deal? He was just blown away. He goes, in Michigan, that don't happen. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Welcome to the great state.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
It's the Gosner milk.
It's the Gosner milk, dude.
It's the Gosner milk.
What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, kind of going along with the same. I'll kind of piggyback off Nate. We've got a pretty diverse state. I mean, there's definitely a predominant religion and all that, but there's so much more than just, I guess, how the state was formed. There's people from all walks of life, and don't want to make things too political here. But Nate and I are both BYU fans. I know that you lean a different way, Austin.
I'm the outcast, dude. I'm the outcast.
Okay, you BYU as well?
No, Utah.
Oh,
Okay. Here we go, dude.
okay. Now we're neck and neck here.
No pun intended.
There goes the friendly state.
But I use that example because it's funny, because it's BYU's first year in the Big 12, a new conference, and everybody's like, what's up with them? Like, we go to a BYU game and they're giving us ice cream and they're giving us donuts. It's like, we're fighting your team. You want to win, but you're still so nice to us. So, like, we can't really hate you. And I use that as an example. Of course it's coming out of BYU, but I'm sure, well, they probably wouldn't say the same about the Utes, but the point I'm making is it's just another example of what our state is. It's just welcoming. Like, we'll take people, and a football stadium's typically a hostile environment, but we're like, yeah, we're going to tell you to go to heck, but we're also going to give you some ice cream. along the way. So I don't know. I think it's a great place to have your roots. And, if people want to move their roots and put them here, I think that, the more the merrier. It's just our state keeps growing in positive directions, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think their answers go along with the theme that we brought up earlier today, which is, just be loose, not be too uptight.
Yeah.
Because I think we tend to major in minor things, right? And we focus too much on them, and that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And to leveling up, you got to find. He said earlier that they find joy in this. It's fun.
Yeah.
If it wasn't fun, you wouldn't do it, right? And I think that comes out in everything you do. You got to, even if it's not fun, you got to find the fun in it and loosen up and live.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when we talk about that, like getting back to your roots, I definitely feel kind of like what you were talking about, Brandon, that there's definitely things about, the culture in this state that have kind of shaped and molded me into who I am, right? And for the most part, like those things are good, right? And I don't know, maybe there's times in my life where I've drifted away from those, right? But it's nice to be here and to be able to go and experience kind of the same things that I did when I was younger throughout this state that bring back those memories and help me kind of remember those values and stuff. So yeah, Utah's an amazing place, man.
I think it's just telling that, this is a place that roots, they run deep, and a lot of people, this is where their family's been for years and years. And it's hard to get away from that just because it's so integral to who we are. Even if you're not a part of the culture, the religion anymore, you're still a part of that, where your roots come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That Utah culture.
That Utah culture, yeah.
The
good parts of the culture.
Not the BYU parts, is that what you're saying?
No, that is the good part.
No, that's the good part. Awesome. Well, I don't know, guys. What do you think?
Should we move to Utah?
Let's go.
Yeah, I think we've got plenty to do here. So move on out to Utah. Move on out to Salt Lake County, and you'll be closer to.
I will, man. You know what? I've lived outside the state, and it was funny because I was dreading coming back, and I'm like, I don't want to go back. I lived out in Idaho and on 5 acres and no neighbors, and I didn't want to come back. But once you're back, there's so much more to do. I'm not saying there's not a lot to do there, but it's like within 28 minutes, man, you can point east, west, south, or north, and you can find something to get into that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever your cup of tea is, right? Anything besides the actual ocean, we don't have, but there's something to do for everybody, which always boggles my mind when the athletes come here or the basketball players say, there's nothing to do in Utah. I'm like, oh, because we don't have 1,000 strip clubs and bars open 24/7. But then the players who come and live here, a lot of them come back after their careers and end up setting up their roots here because
that's
realize that Utah has got a lot going on.
Yeah, that's the truth. The proof's right there. Is you're absolutely right. If there's not a lot to do, I guess you need to update your expectation on what the to do is, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's funny because sorry, go ahead.
I say if you want to gamble, it's only 90 minutes away. So whatever.
Yeah, that's there too.
It's only 90 minutes away.
Yeah.
So
Nate and I aren't, I would say, the most outdoorsy people. We appreciate the outdoors, and we've done one national park, but we're a month away from hitting 200 episodes, and very little of that has been outdoor stuff. So it just goes to show you there is so much more to do, both the outdoors that we need to explore more, but also everything else. There's plenty to talk about and plenty to do here. There's no shortage.
You could have a whole podcast centered around outdoorsy things to do in Utah. So
oh yeah,
I'm sure there is one. There's got to be one.
There's got to be.
It's not us.
It's not us.
Cool. Well, thanks for having us. Yeah. Thanks for having us on, Brandon. No, you're good, man. You're good. Just thanks for having us on. And
next
Yeah.
field trip you guys got, just throw me an invite, man. I'll go.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Well, where are we going?
Wherever, bro.
Here's what we've done. We did.
You know what? Let's go
Ogden.
somewhere with no agenda. We'll just go on a walkabout
There
and
you
see
go.
where we end up.
There you go.
There we go.
Just take a map and just throw a dart.
Yeah.
We'll hit something.
There you go. Let's do it.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks for what
I'll
you're
just
doing.
do our-
Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for listening, Neck Nation. Remember to like and share this video. The more you guys like and subscribe and share, the more people we can reach with our message. We're super happy that we were able to talk with Brandon and Nate today and do this collaboration over our state. But if you like the message, make sure to share this video, and we'll see you on the next one. Bless up.
Bless up.